Good morning, all, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Brunswick, Maine. My name is Penny Elwell, and I'm a member of the board of UUCB. In the middle of this summer, on August 1st, our new interim minister, Reverend Justine Sullivan, began her time with us. We count ourselves extraordinarily fortunate to have her here in Brunswick, and we warmly welcome her to our pulpit this morning as she leads her second remote service for UUCB. Welcome, Justine, and welcome all.
Three years ago, a rally was held in Charlottesville, Virginia. Neo-Nazis and other white supremacists gathered to spread hatred and fear. Maybe you saw them on television carrying those torches in the night, saying hateful things. And others gathered too. Members of our own faith community and other faith communities gathered to say no to that hatred, to offer a different face, a different voice. And they were assaulted. And it ended with someone driving his car into a crowd of protesters, killing Heather Heyer and seriously injuring others. Friends of mine were present on that day, and they are terrorized still by what they saw and heard on that day. A couple days after that, I went to a rally near my home in Massachusetts, and I parked my car a little bit away, and I was walking toward the rally, and I could hear the speakers as I approached. And as I was walking, three young boys on bicycles, African-American boys, riding their bicycles, came toward me. They perhaps had come downtown to see what was going on. The oldest boy was very full of himself, and he rode in the middle of the road, no hands, no helmet, and just kind of showing what he was made of. The next boy, a little bit younger, didn't want to ride down the middle of the street, so he kind of came onto the sidewalk, causing me to step back out of his way, and there was kind of an awkward dance between us as he tried to avoid hitting me, but also wanting to look cool. And then the third boy, the youngest boy, maybe 10 or 11 years old, came onto the sidewalk as well, but he didn't want to frighten me, and our eyes met. And as our eyes met, he said, in his little boy voice, "Black life matters." Now, he had gotten the phrase wrong, but actually he'd gotten it exactly right. And as I recall this, his phrase, "Black life matters," wasn't so much a pronouncement as it was a question. Does my black life matter to you? And I wish that I could tell you that I said something wise or pastoral or wonderful, But all I could manage in that moment, that split second as our eyes met and he said those words, Black Lives Matters, and then he passed me, was, yeah. But I wish I could have that moment back again. I wish that I had said, yes, baby. Yes, your life matters. Your beautiful Black life matters. And whenever I hear that phrase now, I see that child. Now, 3 years later, he must be 14 or 15 years old. And I hope that he is safe and well. Brian Stevenson says that in order to really fight racism, we have to get proximate, right? We have to be in relationship across those lines of race and ethnicity and difference. And that was what I experienced with that child, that moment of really seeing one another. So I think of him, that young child who taught me the true meaning of that phrase, Black Lives Matter, Black life matters. If we truly believe in the inherent worth and dignity of all people, then we have to live that across lines that we don't often have a chance to cross. May we all be open to those beautiful encounters, and may we open our hearts when we have the chance to see each other truly. And now let us sing together our opening song.
For this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
So there's a story from the Hebrew Bible. I bet some of you know it. It's about Jonah. Jonah was a young man that lived a very long time ago. And he experienced a call from God, actually heard God calling him to travel to the nearby town of Nineveh and preach to the people there because they had been misbehaving. And God wanted Jonah to go there and tell them to cut it out. But Jonah didn't want to go. He was afraid, he was uncertain, and he decided that he was going to try and run away from God. So early one morning, before the sun even rose, he went down to the harbor and he booked passage on a fishing boat. He paid the captain to take him out when they went on their fishing trip. And as soon as they put out, he went down below and fell asleep. It was a beautiful day as the sun began to rise. The water was glassy calm, not a cloud in the sky, and off they went to search for the best fishing grounds. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a great storm came upon them and tossed the little boat to and fro, great big waves crashing over the side of the boat. And the captain had an idea that it might have something to do with Jonah, who was down below deck sleeping. So the captain went down and shook Jonah awake. This kid could sleep through anything. "Jonah, what gives?" said the captain. Jonah looked around and saw the waves crashing and the wind, could feel the wind blowing, and he said, "My bad. You see, that's my God. He's kind of upset with me, and listen, just throw me overboard and everything will be okay and you can go on your way." Now this caused a great dilemma for the captain, right? Because one of the first rules of being at sea is you don't abandon anyone. But just then a great big wave came and knocked him to the ground, and he thought, "I better get rid of this Jonah guy." So they lowered Jonah into the water, and Jonah kind of treaded water while the boat sailed away. And as soon as they were, 50 yards away from Jonah, the sea calmed down and all was well again for the sea captain. And Jonah treaded water and considered his situation and thought perhaps he would swim back to shore. And just then a great fish came and swallowed him whole. And down he went, the great fish's throat, all the way down to his belly. Imagine how dark and slimy and stinky it must have been in that fish's belly. Jonah was stuck there for 3 days and 3 nights. And at the end of the 3rd night, he thought, "I think maybe I'll go and preach." And with that, the fish let out a giant belch and expelled Jonah onto the shore. Just imagine how sticky and yucky he must have been. He brushed himself off, but he did go and preach to the people of Nineveh. So what do you think this story is about? Is it about you better stay out of the water or you might get swallowed by a fish? I think it's that you can't really run away from your responsibilities. Sometimes there's something that just kind of gnaws at you and it won't let you rest until you do what is asked of you, what you're called to do. Some people experience that as a call from God. Some people experience it as their own conscience, that inner voice that lets us know what the right thing is. And I bet there are things in your life that call to you. And I look forward to hearing about those. So thank you very much for listening to my story about Jonah and the great fish.
Calling by Reverend Nancy Schaffer from Instructions in Joy. When you heard that voice and knew it finally called for you and what it was saying, where were you? Were you in the shower, wet and soapy, or chopping cabbage late for dinner? Were you planting radish seeds or seeking one last sock? Maybe wiping handprints off a window, or coaxing words into a sentence, or coming upon a hyacinth, or one last no. Where were you when you heard that ancient voice? And did yes get born right then? And did you weep? Had it called you since before you even were? And when you knew that, did your joy escape all holding? Where were you when you heard that calling voice, and how in that moment did you mark it? How ever after are you changed? Tell us, please, all you can about that voice. Teach us how to listen, how to hear. Teach us all you can of saying yes.
Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
Sometimes I envy Jonah the clarity of his call. Not that I would want to spend 3 days and 3 nights inside the belly of a fish. But I think one of the things that has gotten in my way, and maybe it's gotten in other folks' way too, that have heard that call to ministry or some other calling, something kind of improbable that you thought maybe you should be doing, but you weren't quite sure, is what does it mean for an agnostic or an atheist to be called? Who is calling us? There's that story about the man who lives in a little house by the sea, and he's coming home from work one day, and it's raining cats and dogs, and the street is flooding, and the fire truck goes by with a megaphone and says, "Get to higher ground, there's flooding coming, you should leave your home." And the man says, "God will protect me." And he goes inside, and he turns on his TV set and sees the weatherman saying, "If you live in a low-lying area or really near the coast, you better get to higher ground. There's going to be a major flood, and you won't be able to get out if you don't leave right now. God will protect me," he says. And with that, the power goes out and it gets dark, so he decides to go to bed. And he climbs up the stairs to his little room up in kind of an attic, and he falls asleep. Just like Jonah, now that I think about it, he kind of falls asleep through the middle of the storm, and he awakens to water up almost covering his bed, and he opens the window and he climbs out onto his roof, and he sees a guy in a rowboat waving to him saying, "Hey, come on, I'll throw you a rope and I'll rescue you." "Oh no, I'm fine, God will protect me." And then a helicopter goes overhead and lowers a rope ladder down. Again, he waves the helicopter off. "God will protect me." And just then a great wave comes and knocks him off the roof, and he drowns. And he gets to heaven and he says, "God, I was such a faithful servant. Why didn't you protect me?" And God says, "I tried. I sent you a fire truck and a weather report and a guy in a rowboat and a helicopter." Sometimes help comes from each other. And sometimes the call to ministry, especially for those of us in a humanist type faith, comes from other people. And that was really my experience. When I think back on it, so many people told me that I was supposed to be a minister. They experienced me as a minister. But I think, I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, but I think part of me was waiting for a call from God. So it took a while. It took a while for me to say yes. And I think I mentioned to some of you before that I did just about everything you can do without being a minister to have a ministry. I served in my own church. I served in the district. I was a district president. I did consulting in congregations. I'm a facilitator and a social worker by training before seminary. So I would go in and help resolve conflicts. I would lead retreats, do all kinds of things within churches. And that nourished me. But it took a while for me to realize that that was the work I was supposed to be doing full time. So I don't regret the things I did before, but ministry really is the thing that uses all of my gifts to the best of my ability, I believe. So that's kind of the rest of the story. Last time I talked about finding Unitarian Universalism and how powerful that was in my life and in my relationship to Dale. It really helped us feel like there's such power in being seen, right? In witnessing each other. And we were seen as a couple, we were seen as a family. And that helped us see ourselves in that way and really allowed us to deepen our commitment to each other. So I owe a great deal to Unitarian Universalism, and I was prepared to pay it back in all the ways that I could. Except, ministry, I thought that was too much, and too much to ask of Dale, really, to go through that level of disruption. And she was offered early retirement from her computer software job. And I said, okay, I will support us. You take early retirement. I won't go to seminary. And as soon as I had decided I wasn't going to go, I realized that I had to go. So I, went off to General Assembly that year. It was in Phoenix, and we were gathering outside the tent city where Sheriff Joe Arpaio was holding immigrants in what he called concentration camps. And I saw all these UU ministers wearing stoles, wearing Standing on the Side of Love shirts, and I thought, I'm supposed to be out there with them. So Dale hadn't come with me. I called her and I said, hey, I think I have to go to seminary. And she said, I know. So I was probably the last to know. And it's been wonderful. So as I have told you, I'm newly ordained. I was just ordained in 2017. But I have been doing the work of church for many years, and am so glad to add this ordained ministry into the mix of work that I can do. It's an honor to serve. So what is it about interim ministry in particular that spoke to me? Well, there were a few things. One, it seems like it was the best fit with all the other kinds of work that I'd been doing as a social worker, as a facilitator. I was trained as a mediator. It just felt like looking at the system from the balcony, as we say, was kind of the best vantage point for me. Also, because I entered ministry a little bit late in life, serving as an interim allows me to serve many congregations over the years that I will have in professional ministry. So that is interesting to me. And also I made a pledge to Dale when we agreed that, yes, I had to go to seminary. I said, okay, I promise that I won't impoverish us. And I didn't. I didn't take out any loans for seminary. I kind of paid as I went, kept working through most of it. And I promise I won't make you move. So as an interim minister, I'm the one that moves around, and Dale can be rooted in our home community and visit. She just left. She was here for about a week, and it was a lovely time. She helped me unpack. I'm still unpacking, but she's really good at figuring out where stuff goes. So she put the kitchen together for me in the most ergonomically and sensible way. So I'm grateful for that. So we have been working this out, living apart part of the time, being together as much as we can. And I will tell you that it's actually strengthened our appreciation for each other, because time together is so precious. We talk on the phone, we share our days, we can Skype and all the things that we're doing when we can't be together physically. So we are managing, and it works for us. And Callie is with me. So I have a companion, and also I know Dale will visit because she wants to see Callie. So we kind of share her, but mostly Callie, the dog, will be with me. So interim ministry, really, first and foremost, interim ministry is ministry. I will be the minister. I will do the things that ministers do, lead worship and lead important rituals in the life of a family, of an individual, of a community. Be that pastoral presence in your lives if you will allow me to be that for you. So first and foremost, interim ministry is ministry. But it's ministry in the interim time, is what we've learned over many years of studying how churches change and grow, is that after a settled ministry is a wonderful time. It's an opportunity, really, for a congregation to look at where it's been and where it might be going. Now, you have probably done some of that. After the fire, you all had to decide, who are we called to be in the world? And given that mission, that purpose, what kind of building will best serve us? You decided to build a building that is functional and beautiful. I imagine that it's also quite energy efficient and it's accessible. Most of the churches that were built in the 18th and 19th centuries were not accessible to people that had mobility challenges. So the fact that the entire building is accessible to everyone is a commitment, and it demonstrates your values. So that's an example of the kind of examination that you can do when you're in that liminal space. Now, nobody would wish for a fire to create a liminal space, but when a minister leaves or retires, is definitely an opportunity in the life of a congregation to do that kind of examination. So I will be accompanying you, and in some cases leading that effort, but I can't do it without you. You have the data and the information and the history. So one of the first tasks of interim or ministry in the interim time is looking at your history, looking back, considering the big moments. There's something about time and distance as you look back on events and decide what their significance is. What is the story that you want to tell about yourselves, to yourselves and to the larger world? Who are you called to be? Who are your neighbors? Who needs your ministry? What are you called to do in the world? In the interim time, there is a necessary focus on the internal, on the workings of the church, but we can't lose sight of the fact that we are a church and that we are called to bless the world. And so that work will continue, but there's also a chance to see what is the work that is most essential. So a lot of it is continuing what you've been doing, but with a bit more examination and intentionality. A dear colleague and mentor to me has said, really, interim ministry has two parts. First, you got to love them. Then you got to tell them where they need to change. So the first part is easy. I, know that I am already growing to love you. You have so many gifts. You are warm and welcoming and funny and clever and smart and committed. And it is my great pleasure to be here with you. Telling you where you need to change, that's a little trickier. Because first of all, who am I to tell you what needs to change? What I can do is I can hold up a mirror. I could say, this is who you say you are. This is who you say you want to be. And then point out what I'm noticing. And together we can see where there might be some gaps between who you say you are, who you say you want to be, and how you're actually living that commitment, and what things maybe need to change. So all of that we will do in partnership. I have some skills and experience and ideas, and I will share those with you, and you will take what is valuable. And together we will come up with a way forward. And I believe that you will have many ministers who will want to come and serve you as the next settled minister. That is our biggest goal, right? To get you ready to call your next minister the person who will be best suited to travel alongside of you. So I am excited and eager to get started. And I so appreciate your invitation to come and be with you. I thank you for welcoming me into your homes over the internet. And I look forward to the day when we can be together in person.
Somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush. Somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like a freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like a freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like a justice. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Hush, hush. Somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush. Somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do?
A meditation, Eagle poem by Joy Harjo. To pray, you open your whole self to sky, to earth, to sun, to moon, to one whole voice that is you. And know there is more, that you can't see, can't hear, can't know except in moments. Steadily growing and in languages that aren't always sound, but other circles of motion. Like eagle that Sunday morning over Salt River, circles in blue sky, in wind, swept our hearts clean with sacred wings. We see you, see ourselves, and know that we must take the utmost care and kindness in all things. Breathe in, knowing we are made of all this, and breathe, knowing we are truly blessed because we were born and die soon, within a true circle of motion. Like eagle rounding out the morning inside us, we pray that it will be done in beauty, in beauty. And now let us hold together a moment of silence. Let us call to mind those things for which we are grateful, the gifts that abound in our lives, the beauty that surrounds us. And now let us also call to mind those worries that weigh on our hearts, the people that we are worried about or missing. We pray for all those who are suffering in body, in mind, or in spirit. May they be healed, and may they be held in community. Amen. Blessed be. Ashe. Friends, let us go forth from this moment into the rest of our day, into the rest of our week, knowing that we are held in the embrace of this community of faith. And let us take the love that exists between and among us, and let us share it and be a blessing to the world. May it be so.